to this explainer. Okay, if you actually want to understand how a business operates at scale, I need you to do something for me. Completely throw away your standard organizational chart. Seriously, toss it. Instead, I want you to visualize your entire enterprise as a strict physical hydraulic system. Picture this massive network of pipes, valves, and pumps. Every single task, every project, every client deliverable, that's liquid flowing through your pipeline. But here's the absolutely critical reality of hydraulic dynamics. Your system is literally only as fast as its narrowest pipe. Today, we're diving into a fascinating masterclass briefing on the theory of operational constraints to figure out exactly why your business pipes get clogged and, more importantly, how to permanently relieve that pressure.
So here's a question that completely challenges how most of us think about business scaling. Why does optimizing everything actually break your flow, right? It sounds so counterintuitive. The common myth out there is that scaling up means uniformly adding resources to all your departments. You land more clients, so naturally you hire more sales reps, more marketing folks, more fulfillment staff, just evenly across the board. But according to the source data, increasing resources uniformly like that, it actually just creates massive capital waste and organizational bloat. Think back to our hydraulic system. Widening a pipe that is already flowing perfectly fine doesn't push the water out the other end any faster. It just gives the water a place to pool up and sit there stagnant.
Okay, let's dive into this. The absolute core principle of the theory of constraints is that any operational system, I don't care how incredibly complex it is, has at least one strict bottleneck. And that single bottleneck totally dictates the maximum throughput of your entire vehicle. Now, if you focus in and optimize that actual bottleneck, you directly increase your total throughput. That's a huge win. But what if you optimize a non-bottleneck area? Say you make your upstream sales team twice as fast, but your downstream fulfillment team is already totally maxed out. You don't get more output? No way. You simply pile up a mountain of unfinished work directly in front of that active restriction. And this brilliantly illustrates a concept called hydrostatic backpressure. Think about a physical pipe. If water hits a restriction, an orifice, it backs up and builds this really intense pressure against the walls of the system. Well, in an enterprise, that back pressure is your unfinished work in progress, or WIP. Optimizing a non-bottleneck node acts exactly like slamming a downstream valve shut while leaving your upstream pump running at full blast. It doesn't help your business at all. It merely generates massive, dangerous pressure, as all those tasks and projects just pile up directly in front of your slowest operational node, basically threatening to fracture your entire pipeline.
Section 1, the neuroscience of WIP, cognitive overload. We really need to look at how this builds, because the damage isn't just happening inside your project management software. We're shifting from the massive system pipeline down to the micro level of the actual human worker. Turns out, this back pressure actually messes with the neurobiology of your team. The data shows us that uncompleted open loops generate high cognitive drag right across the executive prefrontal networks in the brain. You can think of this as prefrontal open loop fatigue. See, when work in progress just sits there unfinished, it isn't just idling on a physical desk or in some digital queue somewhere. It is actively draining cognitive resources. Your brain literally holds on to those incomplete tasks. So those clogged nodes in your business, they are creating real neurological friction, bogging down the mental processors of your best people with this constant, low-grade, exhausting stress about what isn't getting done. And all that friction, it leads directly to task saturation paralysis. When tasks keep accumulating in front of a clogged operational node, your team members experience this very real paralysis. And here is the truly dangerous part. When this hits, processing velocity across all upstream nodes drops exponentially. The workers just freeze up. It is exactly like pump cavitation in our hydraulic system. The machinery is spinning frantically, vibrating, making a ton of noise, but no actual liquid is moving because the pressure environment is completely compromised. The whole system essentially just chokes on its own unfinished work. But hey, here is where the data gets incredibly exciting. What actually happens when we clear that blockage? The briefing proves that reducing your total active work in progress by 50% can increase your end-to-end delivery speed by up to 200%. I mean, let that sink in for a second. By simply stopping the overproduction of those upstream tasks, just cutting the active WIP right in half, your total delivery speed can double or even triple. You do not need to hire twice as many people to go twice as fast. You just need to stop drowning your current system in all that hydrostatic back pressure. So right now, I want you to visualize your own delivery pipeline. Just picture it. Where is your system leaking? Where is all that work piling up?
True enterprise leverage actually comes from identifying that single active system constraint and in subordinating all of your other operations to its maximum processing rate. But to do that effectively, we need a really systematic approach to unclogging it. Which brings us to Section 2, the exploitation sequence, maximize throughput. Maximizing your enterprise throughput requires a rigorous, data-driven approach to systematically relieve that pressure and avoid that catastrophic pump cavitation we just talked about. Here is the overarching framework we're going to use. Step 1, constraint identification. Step 2, bottleneck exploitation. Step 3, upstream subordination. And step 4, constraint elevation. This sequence operates exactly like a strict technical manual for maximizing scaled enterprise throughput. You absolutely cannot skip a step here, and you have to execute them in this exact order to properly calibrate your operational pipes. So let's break down each one. Now, what's really interesting about this first step, constraint identification, is that the method of discovery isn't about just walking around and guessing who seems the busiest. Not at all. You have to isolate the single slowest processing node through rigorous dwell time telemetry audits, which is really just a fancy way of saying you track exactly where the flow of work stops and sits the longest. You are hunting for the absolute narrowest section of your pipeline, and once you find it, everything else in your business becomes secondary to managing that one single point. Moving to step 2, bottleneck exploitation. Okay, once you know exactly where that constraint is, you must ensure this specific node never, ever sits idle. Why? Because every single minute your bottleneck is paused, the entire enterprise loses a minute of total throughput. You can't get it back. The briefing strongly emphasizes that this node must be permanently shielded from any low-level administrative interference. If your most constrained software engineer or your most restricted manufacturing machine is spending time answering random emails or sitting in low-level meetings, your entire pipeline halts. You've got to protect this node at all costs and run it at its absolute maximum capacity. Then we hit step 3, which is honestly arguably the hardest one for highly ambitious teams, upstream subordination. You literally have to throttle your upstream intake velocity to match the exact maximum processing capacity of your bottleneck. This is the absolutely crucial valve release step. Think about it. If your fulfillment bottleneck can only process 10 units a day, your rockstar sales team should only feed them 10 units a day. Turning down that intake is exactly how you completely eliminate that massive WIP accumulation and finally cure that prefrontal open loop fatigue we discussed earlier. You only let flow into the system what the bottleneck can actually process. Finally, we reach step 4, constraint elevation. Notice how this is step 4. Only after you have identified, exploited, and subordinated to the constraint do you actually spend money to expand it. You elevate the constraint by deploying targeted automation or maybe dedicated high-voltage infrastructure to structurally expand the bottleneck's processing bandwidth. You are physically widening the pipe. And you know what's funny? The exact moment you do this successfully, the bottleneck will inevitably just shift to a brand new location somewhere else in your system, and the entire 4-step sequence begins all over again. So the crucial point is summarized perfectly right here. First off, avoid uniform resource scaling at all costs. It literally only creates bloat and massively adds to your back pressure. Second, by cutting your active work in progress by 50%, you can organically boost your end-to-end delivery speed by up to 200% simply by unclogging all that cognitive and operational friction. And finally, you must ruthlessly subordinate all operations to your one true operational constraint. The entire business serves the bottleneck, period. To wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a thought you can apply immediately to your own operational flow. Take a hard look at your pipeline. Look at the tasks piling up on physical desks or lagging in your software queues. If you throttled your upstream intake today, if you actually forced the front end to slow down and let the system breathe, what hidden operational bottleneck in your business would finally be exposed? Find it, exploit it, and watch your total throughput absolutely soar.